Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to today's episode of the Sort of Strongman podcast. My name is Isaac Rogers, joined as always by my co-host Brandon Jordan. Brandon, you doing all right today? I've seen you training for nationals, and that death medley looks real fun.
Yeah, the death medley is definitely difficult. I think the monster dumbbell. I don't want to out myself in case any of my rivals like DJ Doggett is watching this.
Yeah,
But
your equally matched rival, DJ Doggett.
yeah, just so you know, Mister Doggett, I hit a 165 circus dumbbell the other day, so I'm coming for you. I started at
I
zero.
just got goosebumps.
At the beginning of this year. I started at zero. I've never done it before.
I
So
mean,
if I continue on this trend, by the end of the year, I'll be hitting 400 pounds.
yeah, you'll have a 550-pound circus dumbbell by August.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
obviously how it works.
So, yeah, for sure. I am not training for nationals, but training has still been hard because it is hot as hell here in North Carolina. I don't know if it's hotter in Charlotte or hotter out here. I don't think it really matters because once it gets to a certain point, it's bad enough. So, that being said, today's topic is one that I've been wanting to talk about with somebody for a very long time, and that's how do you rank the best strongmen in the world to try to get the most fair representation of who deserves to be invited to a certain show. Because some shows have 10 invites, some have 12, some have 16. World's Strongest Man, 25 to 30 even. So one of the topics we wanted to cover in this podcast, one of the reasons we started it in general is because we wanted to talk about how we would rank these top athletes. So we've taken some notes. I've done as much research as I can to try to make it as accurate as possible. I'm sure there's something that I've glaringly obvious that I've missed throughout this at one point, but we'll just jump right in to how I think that we should rank the athletes, and then we can go into how Brandon agrees with me or disagrees with me. And of course, he's going to agree because I am 100% correct all of the time, as we established last episode. So the way I personally would rank strongmen is very similar to the sport of sumo. And if you are not familiar with the way sumo ranks their athletes, it is essentially a tier system based on previous event performances throughout the tournaments in the year. Sumo has a tournament every odd-numbered month throughout the year, and before each tournament, they update the rankings with the previous performances to see who went up and down a rank. And I think that if we did something like that every year with Strongman, starting at new each calendar year, that I think that we'd have a much more fair representation of the people who deserve invites and people who don't deserve invites. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not every year, but we kind of figure out maybe quarterly. Quarterly could be pretty simple because Giants Lives and national titles, all that kind of stuff. So before we get into it, any opening thoughts on your side of things, Brandon, before we hop right into this?
Not particularly. I think we've obviously already discussed your ranking system a little bit in the past. And a lot of this, just for context, Isaac and I really started talking about this last year with the whole Rogue Invitational, Patty Haynes, and the Lawless Brothers drama, where it's like per Rogue's ranking system, Patty wasn't supposed to be there. But Patty showed up, and Patty won the hardest strongman event in history, that Power Stairs event.
Rest in peace, all the guys who tried that.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Inez's foot.
Again.
But I mean, it's been an issue for how many years now? The lack of clarity around invites. So I think having a tier system style thing is what needs to be done for the future of the sport.
Somewhat similar to what we talked about last week, the amount of different organizations putting these shows on every year is kind of a handicap to how well organized you can be when it comes to invites. Because some people watch OSG, some people don't care about it, some people watch ASM. So, for example, Strongest Man on Earth, Brian said that every year he watched the results for America's Strongest Man and North America's Strongest Man and included those in the way that he decided who got an invite. World's Strongest Man, in past years, hasn't done that. Same with Rogue. Rogue doesn't look at that. Rogue doesn't look at Giants Live as much. All that kind of stuff, well, I might be incorrect on that. I don't think Rogue does factor Giants Live, which is why Patty probably got that invite last year.
They do. It's just minor points.
One thing I'll say up top is I think that the Rogue rankings is probably the closest that we've been so far in the sport to the right way to do it. Obviously, this is all my opinion, which, again, will be 100% correct, and I can guarantee you that. But I think that Rogue has been a really good bright light in that area because at least it takes some of the guesswork out of it. So it's like if you see the Rogue Invitational coming up, whoever's top 10 on that list, awesome, they're probably going to get an invite. So before we get into mine, I would like to say that the Rogue Invitational or the Rogue rankings have been awesome, have been great. The way I like to do it, like I said, is more based on a sumo wrestling type ranking, where based on your previous events' performances within a calendar year or so, I still haven't quite worked out exactly how often I want it to be, you get a rank. Starting with the first rank, which would be the equivalent of the sumo Yokozuna rank, which is the only rank that you can't be demoted from. And in my opinion, that should be anyone who has won more than one major in a calendar year. So that's World's Strongest Man on Earth, Rogue Invitational, Arnold Strongman Classic. And the only people who are currently active in the scene who have that title would be Mitchell Hooper, Martins Lises, and Thor Bjornsson. Now, Thor and Martins won theirs a few years ago, but the point of this rank is that once you've earned it, you can't be demoted. So let's say Brian Shaw came back into the game, he would have that rank as well. And I don't think that there would have to be some sort of cap on like how long it's been, because Big Z would also have that rank. But Big Z being older, if he wanted to come back in, he'd be stealing an invite from a fit athlete. And I just don't think that's really fair. So there are plenty of guys who fit that criteria. And I think that's a good mark for the very top rank, because there are quite a few guys, not going to name any names, but that have won World's Strongest Man and have not won other majors because World's Strongest Man format is so different. So in my opinion, you should have more than one major in a calendar year.
Yeah, and something you see with the Yokozuna too in Japan is like they retire. They kind of know when it's done. You know what I mean? And Rogue and World's Strongest Man both have the policy of like, hey, if you've won, you have an open invite back. So we're already, 95% of the way there because he's established that, hey, for at least one calendar year, I was the strongest dude in the world. No questions asked, no asterisks, no argument against it. And no one can ever take that away from you.
Yeah, I think that's such a monumental achievement that, in my opinion, is the only rank that you shouldn't be able to lose. And after that, the second rank guys, which sounds dramatic to say second rank, but they're still top guys in the world, is anyone who has podiumed at a major more than once in a year or has one major win in the calendar year. And as we're talking about this, I'm kind of thinking that you would go yearly for the majors, and you'd go quarterly for something like Giants Live to update those lower ranks as guys filter through quite a bit more, similar to how Juryo works in sumo. Which, if you don't watch sumo, I would highly suggest. It's a very entertaining sport, but the way that they rank their stuff, because it's been around for thousands of years, they kind of have it down to a science. So some of these top-ranked guys may not change throughout the year. Guys in this rank, for me, the second rank, guys like Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell, Evan Singleton, and Ray O'Neill are guys who have either won a major in the last year, because Ray O'Neill won World's Strongest Man last year, or have podiumed at multiple majors in a year. So Evan Singleton won 25 Strongest Man on Earth. Trey Mitchell podiumed at last year's Rogue Invitational and this year's World's Strongest Man. And Lucas Hatton podiumed last year at the Arnold and last year's Strongest Man on Earth. So, in my opinion, I also like the fact that sumo only has a set amount of athletes that can qualify in certain ranks, certain amounts of athletes. Some of them are more subjective, like they're not always going to have a spot filled, but the Ozeki rank is a maximum of 4, from what I understand. The Yokozuna rank usually only has maybe 2 tops, depending on the era of sumo. And the other ones, it's very rigid, the amount of athletes that can qualify, because due to the way the system is set up, if you make it to the next rank, that means somebody else was bad enough to drop a rank. And I think that's something the strongman needs a little bit more, because there are some guys we've seen in the past that have undeservingly stayed at a higher rank just because they've been at that rank before and they kept getting invites back when there was fresh talent to be explored.
Yeah. And one thing too, when we say second rank, it's not like they're not bad. These are still the best of the best guys in the world. It's just it's like I don't know if any of you guys have played like gotcha games. It's like the S tier versus the A tier. The A tier guys are still the best. You are still happy to have them, more than happy to have them in contest. You're begging them to come to your contest because there's only one or two S tier guys. I mean, if you go back through the history of World's Strongest Man, there's only like five or six guys who would qualify for that like Yokozuna rank throughout the whole history of the sport.
Yeah.
And it's got, like Rain O'Neill, he was so close this year to getting his second major win. It would have been World Strong, would have been the same podium though, which will get you into your third tier, which I'll think give you a segue there.
Yeah. The third tier for me is one major podium, 3 top 5s at a major, or a minor victory. So for me, a minor would be Europe's Strongest Man, North America's Strongest Man, or an equivalent continental title, depending on the talent that's at the show. I think that something like the Giants Live World Tour Finals or the Strongman Classic could potentially be that kind of stuff. But the guys you see winning those shows are usually going to already be in this tier for another reason or in the upper tier. So in the third rank, I have 6 athletes. It's Austin Andrade, Tom Evans, Andre Foitu, Bryce Johnson, Pavlo Kordiaka, which we'll get to in a second, and Tom Stoltman. So the most surprising one in this rank is obviously Tom Stoltman, because it's like, oh, he's three-time World's Strongest Man. What? In the last calendar year, what has he done? He hasn't podiumed at a major more than once.
2 years ago, he would. 2 years ago, he'd be up a tier.
He would have, but he hasn't. The reason that Tom Stoltman is in this rank is because he did podium at the Rogue Invitational, but it's now been more than 1 year since last World's Strongest Man, so that podium is no longer in the equation. So now it's only one. So it's a major podium. He is a phenomenal athlete. Like, I keep telling people this. I don't hate Tom Stoltman. It's just that his recent performances haven't quite lived up to what I know he's capable of. So that's why, for right now, he'd be a third-ranked guy. The fourth rank has 10 athletes. This is the biggest rank out of all of them, aside from the fifth rank. The fifth rank, I think, would be the most chopping and changing. But the fourth rank guys, the qualifications for this tier are top 10 at a major once in the last calendar year. Multiple Giants Live winners, so like if you win more than one Giants Live in a year, or a podium at a minor. So the podium at North America's Strongest Man, podium at Europe's. And the reason I didn't have this as a qualification for the last one is because we had the minor victory in the last one. So that's why Andre is on that list, because he's won. He would be on just this list, the Multiple Giants Live, for the fourth rank, but he's on the third rank because he won one of the minors. So in this rank, this is where things get a little bit tough, because they kind of have to get a little bit more subjective with who you invite to this rank. I have 10 athletes. Wes Derwinski, Nick Wortham, Tristan Hoth, Matt Ragg, Patty Haynes, Nick Guardione, Eddie Williams, Adam Bishop, Luke Richardson, and Luke Stoltman. Now, if this was a year ago, Luke Richardson would be in that upper rank because he won Europe's Strongest Man. Luke Stoltman has also won Europe's Strongest Man. The only problem is they haven't done it recently enough. And I think one of the things with Strongman is that the statute of limitations on when you did something good has become too long. And I think they're kind of fixing it a little bit now. But I think one of the worst things that you can do to an athlete is if they're having a bad time, they shouldn't be at the big shows because they're only going to continue to have a worse time. We saw it with Bobby Thompson. We saw it with Big Z toward the end, unfortunately. We saw it with Brian toward the end, unfortunately, where it's like you kind of got to cycle out at a certain point. And so I think Luke Richardson specifically, Luke Stoltman specifically in this rank are two of the somewhat sad additions to this tier. But in my opinion, their current form hasn't proven that they deserve to be third tier.
And it also shows Nick Guardione wouldn't have been in this tier a year ago.
No.
But he made World's Strongest Man finals this year.
Mm-hmm.
He also won, was it 2 years ago he won OSG? Or 2 or 3?
No, it was last year. So this last year was Josh Pataka. The year before was Nick.
Yeah, the year before, and that'll get us. The OSG doesn't count for the minors. That's a different tier. Mm-hmm. But it's like, hey, you win OSG, that's your invite. Mm-hmm. That's your chance to move up the tiers because it's like, hey, here's OSG, here's this. You get top 10 at World's Strongest Man. Guess what? You're going up a tier. Mm-hmm. And then once you're in that tier, you're getting invites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because OSG is becoming the quality that you'd expect from a minor. But unfortunately, the Europe's Strongest Man lineup and the North America's Strongest Man lineup are just so good, especially like we touched on last week with the North America's Strongest Man lineup. It's one of the best we've ever seen. So if you go into that show and you can podium, that's worth the world, man. I mean, that's worth a lot of stuff. Most guys in the entire sport would never even make it to the fourth rank. So these are not bad athletes. Again, these are just guys who haven't quite qualified for that top rank up. There are some people. So you take Wes Derwinski, someone who has been top five at a couple of majors for a little while. Like Strongest Man on Earth, he's had some good performances. World's Strongest Man, he had a phenomenal performance a while ago. He's been on the cusp of being a third ranked guy consistently, but he just hasn't quite been there yet. So
Yeah, and this is also a way to where it's like you avoid these things of like, why wasn't Wes invited? Wes he is really, really good. Yeah, he did make the finals 1 year, but he's still performing in other shows. So why wasn't he invited? And now it's like, okay, hey, he's at the top of the fourth. Like, I don't know why wasn't invited. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, here's accountability.
yeah. And I think with some more time and some more thought into this, like some more official math behind it, I think that this could be adopted by the strongman population as a whole. The only problem with this is like you'd have to have a governing body that oversees all these shows to make sure it's even with the invites, which we don't have right now. But I think one day we could get to it, and I think this is probably one of the closest ways we could get to a truly fair representation of who deserves to go where. And to close this all out, we have the fifth rank, which is the lowest rank of the pro circuit, is what I would call it, the circuit of people who do deserve these top invites. And that is amateur qualifier victories. So the Arnold Pro-Am, Shaw Classic Pro-Am, these kind of things. OSG also counts as a qualifier for Giants Live. You have national champions, so guys who have won America's Strongest Man, Australia's Strongest Man, all these established competitions that are run by official organizations who have enough athletes that it counts as a major. So unfortunately, there are some countries, like you have Austria's Strongest Man, Brazil's Strongest Man, who, as a fan of the sport, I would love to see grow, but they just aren't quite representative enough of athletes that are this top-ranked quality to quite qualify yet, which again is something that you'd have to figure out with time and with some math. So in this final tier, we have Josh Pataka, Andrew Burton, Tristan Hoth, Matthias Funjok, Bradman Houston of Australia, who many of you might not have heard of, but you got to get acquainted with him because he beat the brakes off of Australia's Strongest Man last year. Jaco Schoonwinkel would be in this category. You'd have Roy Arantia, Andrew Flynn, and Ben Glasscock, as well as BJ Stone, who I'll get to in a second as to why he's there, because there are a few things with this category, and a similar way that sumo does it, again, is that the last category can sometimes be a proving ground for people who haven't quite qualified for it yet. So in sumo, they pick a couple guys from Juryo, depending on the basha that they're going through, that they'll let wrestle with the top-ranked guys to see if they deserve a spot in this top rank. And so some of the wild cards I would have that are on the cusp of that are guys like BJ Stone, guys like James Jeffers, guys like Levi Strong, Jordan Osborne, these guys who are not quite officially qualified for the top rank yet, but they're so close that given the right circumstances, they could potentially take someone else's spot, which is what I think the sport is missing, is some of that competitiveness at the lower end when it comes to, oh, well, if you can't just perform well once, there's going to be people at your heels the whole time. So I think that kind of closes the ranking system that I have out pretty well. There are still some kinks that I have to iron out, but I think that this, in my opinion, is the closest we'd have to a truly fair ranking system if we could kind of iron out what exactly qualifies for each one. Perhaps there's a competition I'm not thinking of or a qualification I'm not thinking of in this system that could be introduced that would be a more fair way of ranking these guys. So do you have any thoughts on that, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's we kind of left it open-ended for a reason, because Isaac and I have been talking about this for God knows how long.
Too
And
long.
we're not trying to engagement bait, but it's like genuinely this is something that both of us agree needs to happen for the future of the sport. Strongman got really big, really, really quick, and the big name just kept getting invite after invite after invite. And then you get the situation with like the Arnold Pro-Am, to where it's like, oh yeah, you win the Arnold Pro-Am, but then you gotta go against Mitch Hooper. And it's like, okay, good luck. And it's like, oh wow, you didn't perform. We invited 9 guys from the top 2 tiers, and you're in tier 5 and you didn't perform, and we're never gonna invite you back. It's like, yeah, of course, dude. Roy Rancho won the Arnold Pro-Am. Then he's got to go against,
Troy
hitters.
Mitchell.
Yeah, it's like, dude, okay, you beat Joe from Kentucky, who won a regional against two other guys and got to come here. Now you're against Trey Mitchell. Good luck. But having this chance of like, hey, yeah, you won the Arnold Pro-Am and you got your invite to this, that doesn't just mean you're going to the Arnold. That means you're also getting like Giants Live is looking at these bottom tier guys. And it's like, okay, this guy's a performer. This guy will put on a show. This guy's strong. He's got good events in this show. Let's throw him in. Like BJ Stone is a great example. BJ Stone, and I mean, no offense to you, I judged you the Arnold. Please do not kill me. His frame killed him. His grip killed him. But he had the fastest time by over 5 seconds of any of the super heavyweight guys in the overhead medley. He is so freakishly strong and huge that it's like, dude, you have to throw him in. If there's a show that has like an overhead ladder or something like that, or maybe multiple overhead events, absolutely throw him in. I fully agree. I fully think he'll be able to hang with anybody you throw at him. Andrew Flynn, did he make finals at Worlds? No, but he was right. He was right there.
Yeah.
He was super close. And that's why you need the kind of wild card, that little bit of ebb and flow. You're never going to get rid of it, but at least it's like, hey, much more clarity as opposed to World's Strongest Man just being like, let's invite that guy. Sure. Like, why not? Let's invite this guy who's in the twilight years of his career, but he was a big name and it'll get clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, oh, let's invite BJ Stone because he'll get clicks from Australia. You can kind of weigh that, and it's got this way for the majors to see the people who are performing in the minors or the amateur shows.
Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest things about the qualification system currently, and we are definitely trending in the right direction, because the thing with Strongman is that qualifying for these shows used to be so convoluted that back in the day, even 10, 15 years ago, it was just kind of if they felt like inviting you. It was like, oh, somebody knows somebody at the Arnold. It's like, this guy's really strong, we'll try him. And so the amount of skill gap has widened substantially between the amateur guys and the pro guys, that you take any guy from the Arnold Pro-Am, unless it's somebody already pre-established, they're kind of going to get chewed up and spit out at the actual Arnold. And I think that one of the reasons that we see that is because there is a circuit of shows that would act as a very effective middle ground or minor league, if you will, and it's Giants Live. Because Giants Live is not a show that's going to kill you. It's not a show like Strongest Man on Earth where you go into it and it's the heaviest thing you've ever done in your entire life and you 0-4 at the events. Giants Live, if they paid attention to some more of these online qualifiers, like OSG is the pathway to Giants Live, but if you take the Shaw Classic Open and the Arnold Pro-Am, rest in peace the Shaw Classic, of course, but you take these minor qualifying shows and then you go as to Giants Live first as the step between this and the Arnold and the Rogue Invitational and World's Strongest Man. I don't think that Giants Live being an exclusive partnership with World's Strongest Man is helping the sport. I think that it's doing more to set some of these guys up for failure that aren't truly ready yet than it is to help them. Because unfortunately, with the exclusivity of some of these pathways, you're getting guys that would probably be really good at Giants Live. I mean, you take Andrew Burton, who won the Pro-Am last year at the Arnold. Andrew is a phenomenal athlete. He's just not statically strong enough to hang at the Arnold.
Yeah,
which is
tough. And he was doing great at the Shaw Classic until his bicep popped on him.
Exactly.
Like he was leading.
And so you have Giants Live quality guys that are getting thrown into the furnace at the Arnold, and nobody sees them as anything because they can't perform to Arnold standard yet because it takes 10 years to get there. That's what I think would be the biggest benefit of this ranking system is if these shows, we talked about this with the American scene last year, but it's a worldwide problem, man. I mean, all these shows doing their own thing and kind of expecting the sport to just be like, we're the Rogue Invitational. We're going to grow the sport single-handedly. It's like, there doesn't have to be that way. It could be all these guys get placed in these different tiers. And I mean, hey, it might even be cool to have a show where you see, okay, so this show is a 5th ranked show. it's all the guys from the 5th rank battling for a spot in the 4th, so on and so forth. If you get a show, if you put the top tier, second tier, and third tier in a show, that's 13 athletes right now. And that lineup for the show would be Mitch Hooper, Martins Licis, Thor, Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell, Evan Singleton, Ray Nell, Austin Andrade, Tom Evans, Andre Foytu, Bryce Johnson, Pavlo Cordiaca, and Tom Stolman.
That's a great show.
That is a phenomenal show.
That's a sick show.
That is a phenomenal show. And then the best part about this is that if somebody gets injured, you pick someone from the tier below. So if it's a show that has 10 athletes and the first 10 guys are in and somebody gets hurt, you call up Pavlo Cordiaca. You're like, oh my God, you're in. You did it. Or you call up Wes Derwinski and he's there. And so it would also be able to help these guys really plan out their career a little bit better rather than just kind of like, I hope I get a big break one day and I can maybe not zero the events at the Arnold. Mm-hmm. I think it would be a good step in between.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we need. I mean, Giants Live is supposed to be the step in between, but it's like Giants Live just invites the best guys. I mean, they're trying to put on the biggest show, so they're inviting the top guys, and it's you're throwing dudes who are winning amateurs. They're making waves. They're finally about to break through. And then, I mean, it took Lucas Hatton how long to finally break through? And he's here, and he deserves it. He's one of the best guys. This ranking system has him all the way up there. Lucas hasn't gotten his Oregon invite yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he talked about it with Alec Jose that if he doesn't get invited to the Arnold, he's going back to the Pro-Am, and he's gonna beat up on some poor dude who thought it was his year. Yeah. And it's like Lucas Hatton, no offense to him, has no business being in the Arnold Pro-Am right now. If my chance finally came and I'm at the Arnold Pro-Am and Lucas Hatton shows up, I'm sitting outside his hotel room with a baseball bat because that's my best chance to beating him.
Yeah. I'm sitting outside his room with an air horn, keep him awake.
Yeah, keep him up at night. But it's like there's no in-between tier, and we're seeing guys just kind of hit it and bounce. I mean, like Burton got last. I think he got last of the Arnold. Yeah, he got last of the Arnold. You're putting him against top-tier guys. Yeah. Throw him into Giants Live. Don't throw him into the fire. Or make some qualifying thing. Make some organization, please, I beg you. Just make something that's a step below Giants Live. You will make so much money. People will love you for so long. It just doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. And there are companies that could make it exist, but they haven't yet. So take PSL, for example. You take Strongman Corps. These organizations have the potential to be someone that puts on these minor league shows. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that's holding the sport back, too, is that there are a lot of guys who either get burnt out and they can't make it to the top tier, so they quit, because obviously you can't make a living from Strongman. Or you get guys who are in the majors who just keep getting invited even though they're minor league quality. Which, again, I think is a problem that's dwindling, which is good. But I don't think that should be a possibility in the first place. If you are a third-ranked guy, you're a third-ranked guy, and you should earn your way up there. So there shouldn't be this weird, like, everyone is kind of in the same tier. It's like either you're a pro or you're not. And so you take Pro Strongman, for example, you take Pro Strongman Sturgeon Anderson from Dungeon Strength. You put him at Strongest Man on Earth. Rest in peace, Sturge. Which I'm a fan of Sturge. Sturge is hilarious. I don't know if you knew this. He has a Twitch streaming channel where he watches horror games and stuff. Not phenomenal content. I love watching it. And
while we're here, Sturgeon Anderson, I'm still sorry about your circus dumbbell, your monster dumbbell at the Arnold. You were so close to locking it out. I feel so bad still. Please don't hate me forever. You didn't lock it out, though.
We need to get Sturge as a judge this year at Nationals. Your circus
he will never give me a down. He will never give me a down call.
You're gonna come up and he's gonna sit down and he's gonna be on his phone.
He's gonna sit there, just give me a big middle finger. You didn't have it locked out. I'm so sorry. You were so close.
But it's fine because Brandon's not going to be able to lock his out either. So it's
I won't be able to. I'm going to.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think that as somebody who hopes to go up through these ranks eventually, and you're a lot closer than I am, so I think it's an interesting thing to think about what the sport could be and what I think it should be, and that should be that it should be more evenly spread across the levels. Because having a huge skill gap doesn't benefit really anyone. Because the guys who are in that top tier don't need anything in between, but the guys who are in the lower tier that if you're at a show that's like 4 out of 10 for strongman, and the Arnold is 10, but there is no show that's at like 6 to 8. Like there's no middle ground. You don't really get to show how good you are because it's one show's too easy, one show's too hard, and there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah, like Roy Rancho, I think will be able to push a lot of the pro guys on the deadlift. His deadlift is nuts. And he doesn't really have events that I would consider him to be bad at, but his deadlift is the big one that I think is world champion quality. His other stuff is not world champion quality. And it's like, yeah, dude, he's going to beat up on any amateur in the deadlift in the world. Any amateur in the world will beat up on deadlift, and he'll be hanging with them on the rest of the events, if not winning the rest of the events. Against the elite guys, he'll be hanging with them on the deadlift, and then he's going to get beat up on the rest of the events.
Which again, with some time, maybe 2 or 3 more years, he in a minor league circuit where the weights are just a little bit heavier, so you can progress. Anyone who's strength trained before knows you don't jump from one weight that you just barely did and try to put 300 pounds on it immediately. That's how you hurt yourself, and that's how we've seen a bunch of guys tear their bicep, tear their hamstring, break their back, and not be able to come back. You give them a show that's too easy and then a show that's too heavy, and you're going to see injuries. I think that it would probably decrease the amount of injuries that you see if there was a little bit of an easing into that. And the Arnold Pro-Am is supposed to be that. But the problem is to make it accessible to have enough people to go to the show and to make sense for the next qualifying level below, it has to be a little bit lighter. And that kind of sucks, which is not the fault of the organizer, because the route is local show, nationals, Arnold Pro-Am. So nationals either has to get a hell of a lot heavier, or the Arnold Pro-Am has to stay lighter, which sucks because like there's no the Arnold Pro-Am qualifying you for the Arnold Minor League is a completely different topic where it's only 10 athletes who get a shot for the Arnold, because there's enough good quality athletes in the world that you would see guys like you said, BJ Stone, Jordan Osborne, Levi Strong, in that minor league that aren't quite Arnold quality yet, but give them a couple of years in that minor league and you might see the greatest athlete of all time.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, with the weight jump, it's like, what's a great weight for an Arnold amateur to be able to hit consistently is like 415 on a log. If you're an Arnold Amateur Pro, like if you win the Arnold Amateur and you got a consistent 415 log, that's right in line with everybody else. 415 log ain't shit in the pros. that is not, that will get you maybe bottom middle of the pack. And it's just these insane jumps. I think it'll increase longevity in the sport because athletes won't be incentivized to, really just jack up their gear intake to try to even have a chance at scraping by at these shows. So increase longevity, increase insight into the invites. But yeah, again, we're not trying to comment bait, but please give us your opinions on this. That's why we're making this, is to increase the dialogue around it. PSL has a ranking system. The Rogue has a ranking system, but it's just that. Some comps like OSG, the weights just came out for their Zercher into power stairs. OSG just decided to jack up the weights. So maybe they're trying to be closer to the pros, but at the cost of a lot of people are going to zero it. Mm-hmm. So having a dialogue around this, having people talk about this, is how the sport moves forward.
Yeah, and I think especially when it comes to the comments, like, let me know if there's an athlete that I forgot in this list. And I think that it would be awesome to hear some other ideas, because there could be a totally different ranking system that I didn't even think of that would be way better than this. And I think that it's an awesome discussion to have, because the more people that are talking about it, the more likely it is to happen, and the better off the sport will be for it. So those are kind of my thoughts. A little bit of a shorter episode today. We just wanted to kind of get through this one. And I don't necessarily have any other thoughts. If there are any edits that I mess up in this recording, I'll definitely put them in post. But any other closing thoughts, Brandon?
No, just once again, thank you guys for watching. Obviously, we'll have this graphic up with this post. So let us know what you think we got wrong. Because, Isaac's never wrong, but I can be wrong.
Correct.
Let us know what you think we got wrong. Let us know if you think, like, hey, I've got this insane idea. This country does their insert random sport rankings here. That's how I think we should do it. I think there should be a relegation league. I think there should be multiple major circuits. Whatever you think it is, let us know. I'm very interested to hear what insight people can bring into this.
Yeah, and this is like an ideal situation. This is as much funding as we want, as much freedom to choose as we want. Like this is the goal. This is what we should be striving for when it comes to a ranking system. So it's not going to be like, oh well, Strongman could never afford this. Like we know they're not going to do it right now. But I think that 5-10 years in the future, there's a possibility that we could have something like this, and things could be a little more streamlined, and the sport could be taken a little bit more seriously. Because that's one of the things that happens when you watch a show and everyone is not able to do the events. They're like, okay, well then why is it like this? Like it doesn't make sense. Everyone in professional football can throw a football. Like that's the difference. Like you can see these athletes in a league that they don't quite belong in yet, and it raises questions. So I think that all in all, this ranking system is probably a little bit more in depth than any ranking system that currently exists in strongman, which I think is for the better, because trying to dumb things down only makes things worse, in my opinion, usually. So I think that making it a little complicated can be nice, and that also leaves something that you explain to your friends whenever you guys watch a show, so you can info dump on them whenever they ask. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I've loved doing this. It's super fun. I look forward to it at the end of every week, and I look forward to any comments you guys leave on this video and other videos. Go ahead and check out our Instagram profile as well, because I'm uploading clips on there. I'm doing polls for like what you guys want to see next. I'd love to get enough of an audience that we can start asking topics that you guys want to hear about, so that we can talk about stuff that's not just our insane ramblings and things we've maybe talked about in the future. So feel free to go over there. Make sure to like and subscribe, so that way you can be notified of our next uploads. So anything else from you, Brandon, today?
Nope. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Thanks again.